roll intro. So I'm just going to give you a close-up example of how we're going to put together these trees here. So this is the blocked in stage. This has been blocked in with acrylic. It's totally dry. We can now go over it with some oil. Now I'm going to use this Tree and Texture series brush, and I'm going to just put in some darker shades over there. The colour that is currently there is very similar to the photograph, which I'll show you here. So it's close enough. What we need to do is just get the levels of that right. So I'm going to add some darker tones to it, and then some lighter tones. So this has been blocked in middle tone. It's not the darkest, it's not the lightest, it's somewhere in between. And we're going to put those darker bits in now. So let's go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to do a glaze here for these darker tones. I'm going to use this Liquin Fine Detail. You can use Liquin Original as well. I just don't happen to have any Liquin Original at the moment, but that works just as well. So we mix some of the Liquin in with the paint. Not too much paint, it's probably more Liquin than it is paint. Now depending upon how dark we want it will depend upon how much Liquin I'm putting in the mix. So if I don't want it too dark, I'll add a bit more Liquin, so it'll be a clearer sort of mixture. It'll have less pigment in it. But as you can see, all I'm doing is just touching the panel with this brush very gently, and it's putting loads and loads of little brush marks in. Each single brush stroke is giving us a lot of marks, a lot of brush marks, and I'm really just going to go over the whole thing now with this. Now one of the benefits to doing a glaze is it doesn't alter really the colour underneath. It just, well, doing a glaze in this way, it doesn't alter the colour, it just darkens it, because all I've done is I've mixed in with that Liquin some ivory black and a little bit of French ultramarine. And I'll show you what I mean. So for example, if I do the same colour as that, I do it over this, can you see all it's doing is darkening what's underneath. It's not changing the colour. We've got the colour sort of fairly close anyway. And if you need to darken a few bits a bit more, just go over those areas again. One of the benefits to using Liquin, including the fine detail I'm using, is it dries quickly. Now I'm using an alkyd based paint, so it's a quick drying paint anyway. So this will be tacky within sort of 5 minutes or so. And I'm just going to go over this whole area of trees here now, and then we'll add some of the details afterwards. So I think the first step, well, there are two things that I can do here. One of the first things I can do is to put in the tree trunks, because obviously they sit a little bit further back than the foliage that sits over the top, or I can define the tree line a little bit better. And I think I'll probably do the tree line now, because if I do too much work down here, then I'll be resting on on the panel with my hand. So I'll do that first of all. So all I'm going to do is mix up a colour sort of in between the blue of the tree and the white, probably nearer the blue, but just a lighter, slightly lighter shade. Let's see if that's right. So all I've done is mixed in some ivory black, some blue and some sap green. Now I need to lean on the panel still. See if I can stretch, put my finger on the drier area, or the dry area. And now we just need to kind of put in a little bit more of a defined tree line. That might actually be a little bit too dark. Let's lighten it a bit. But I'm using a rigger brush now. And I'm just using the very tip, and I'm just going to put in some areas, in particular, looking at the photograph, where I can see there's a bit more definition. Almost done. Just going to add now some lighter areas within those trees. Just put some little holes. So I'm just going to mix up some more sky colour. I'm not going to do too much, just a few little areas here and there. It's quite a solid group of trees, so I think that's probably all I need to do. Okay, so now let's put in those tree trunks. Okay, apart from one which is right on the outside here, that's about all I can see. So now I'm just going to build up some of the details, some of those lighter canopies in that area there. Okay, so I've mixed up a very cool light green. I'm going to see if we can get the technique with this fan brush here. So just using the very corner. Barely any pressure at all. Right, so we've got those distant trees pretty much in. Let's now start working on the foreground trees. Now, getting the colour right, I think is going to be the most difficult aspect here. We want the colours to be quite subtle, really. It's important that they don't look too separate. So I'm using the same technique as well with this. And maybe that colour is okay for the top part, but then as we start to move down into this area here, it needs to be a little bit more subdued. So I've just added some black, ivory black, and French ultramarine. I still don't think that's quite dark enough. I'm going to continue to darken it. moving back to the rigger brush again, just going to put in, there's just a hint of another tree here, and then there's another one which actually in the photograph the trunk looks darker, but I'm going to do it that bit lighter. And that comes down to there. And then using the same brush, I'm now just going to add some highlights to this little tree here. Just a few little lighter areas. And then while we're at it, there's a highlighted area just up here where you've got the light catching just that top canopy, so put that in too. So we got the trees pretty much finished. Now it's time to start working just on this area of grass, or this bank I should say. So really we're starting off with similar colours again in the background. They're much more of a cool green, and then we can warm it up just as we come over to this area here. So let's start off with that cooler colour. I'm basically going to be using the same colours that I've already used in the painting, using a fan brush, and I'm just going to work my way along, adding different colours as we go. So as you can see, the technique is a little bit different when doing the grass. Doing the trees, you're using just the corner because you just want the very small little dot. But with the grass, we use the flat of the brush there, and what I tend to do is I pull, so as it touches, I then move the brush downwards like that, and that tends to give you more of a grass look. Okay, so I've got the majority of that colour, and I'm just going to put some warmer tones within that now, just with some burnt umber and dioxazine purple. Okay, so that is how I'm going to paint that area there. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, ladies and gentlemen. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. There are links down the bottom out there for my website, new website that's coming, Patreon, and all things like that. So it's good to see you all, and well, I'll see you in the next lesson, I suppose. Bye for now.